LV55 Media, LLC, presents the Heroes of Montford Point interview series, featuring Montford Point Marine Robert Hammond, Part 2, hosted by Patricia Williams.
When we left the Brooklyn Naval Hospital, we were assigned to the Montford Point Marines. The base was near Jacksonville, North Carolina, in the deep south. That's, in my mind, that's where that was. So we went there, and we went down on a train. Everything was all right until we got to Washington, D.C., and then they switched trains on us. They just moved the cars and put our car right behind the engine, and all the smoke came in there. So we could hardly breathe. But we got to Montford Point. When we got to Montford Point, there was a big truck from the Marine Corps there, and we got in that and went to Montford Point. And when we got there, I'm thinking, well, we're going to a hospital, but there was no such thing there. We didn't go to a hospital. We went to a wooden structure that looked like a church. Mm-hmm. And while we were there, a Jewish doctor came in, Dr. Asher. And he came in and said, welcome us to Montford Point. And he explained to us that it was a segregated camp. And he said, they even segregated me as a Jewish doctor. So that was the beginning of my career, really. That's where my public health career began, because Dr. Asher was talking about the snakes, the mosquitoes, the bears, the swamps, the smells, the odors, the drinking water, the soil, the food, how food was prepared there, the housing, and also the men. And he mentioned to us that the white corpsmen were not treating the Montford Point Marines when they got sick. They weren't treating them in a good medical manner. They just wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And he gave us examples. He said if a guy came in with a broken arm, they just looked at it, gave him a sling, and gave him some Brown's mixture and cod liver oil, which was a laxative, mm-hmm. and set him on his way. And he said, we're not going to have none of that now. You guys are here to provide the service and care to those Marines, and that's what we did. Mm-hmm. We did a lot of good. We examined those guys, all of them, and we found a lot of problems. We found intestinal worms, we found hookworms, we found venereal diseases, and some chronic lung ailments, and they all got treatment for that.
Now, were these Marines who had already been to war, or were they preparing
weren't to war
to go?
Yet. Preparing to go. They weren't to war yet. They didn't go overseas yet. These were men that had gone through a lot, their own particular problems at Montford Point. Mm-hmm. Give an example. The commissary, where they got their food. The people that prepared that food, you know, certain food has to be hot, certain food has to be cold. At the same time, there was a big salmonella outbreak in the Army at Fort Dix from the people chopping up raw chicken on a cutting board and then chopping up cooked chicken on the same board and putting it into gravy. And the men got salmonella food, staphylococcus food poisoning from that. So what we did, that was all explained to us, and we made the people that worked in that commissary clean it up, use sanitizers, keep that food hot above 145 degrees, cold below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And that way, the men didn't get intestinal problems. Also, we had them sterilize and clean everything in that commissary. Then we went into the barracks.
So how did they go about cleaning everything?
Scrubbing and washing, and they used to do what we call the Montford Point Marine shuffle. And that was to put the rags and things under their feet and move them around to scrub the floors. That's what they did. And they did that and cleaned up the commissary. And we brought that into the barracks. We made them open their lockers. We looked at their clothes. They weren't folded right. They weren't rolled up the way the Marines did. We made them do that. We made them not keep their dirty clothes with clean clothes, put them in bags, take them down to the wash place, have them washed, and then fold them back, dry them out, fold them back up. We put that into place. We made them make up their beds right, clean it. If they saw any mice or rats or snakes in the place, let us know. Let us know how they got in and where you saw them, because what we had to do was have some vector controls on the rodents and the snakes, so we got that problem cleared up. The biggest problem there was the mosquitoes that came from the swamps. Now those mosquitoes came out at sundown. They'd buzz around and they'd bite you, and they cause a lot of illnesses. Dengue fever and malaria. And what happened was we got with Dr. Asher, and he got in big pumps and trucks and things, and we drained the swamps and moved the swamps away from where the living quarters were, and where the campsites were people, where the Marines had their activities. Cleaned that up. It took quite a while to do that, a couple of months, but we did it. And later on, that camp was cleaned up, spit and polish. The Marines were much better. They looked better. They were healthier. They even marched better. And when they marched with a cadence that later on the Marine Corps adopted that cadence. They have that same cadence today that they got from the Montford Point Marines, the way they strut and march when the band plays. And we had some white officers there. We had Bobby Troop there. Bobby Troop was a piano player, wrote the song Route 66, and he wrote that song, "Don't Ever Take Me Back to Jacksonville." Wrote that song. And what he did, he knew that there was a lot of segregation and discrimination going on in Jacksonville. So when the Marines went on liberty, they had to go across town there. They had one bar over there, and that was usually crowded. You had to pay $5. They served liquor in a pitcher. Cost $5 for that. That's all they'd sell you, one pitcher. And beer, they serve you a pitcher of beer for $5. And it's regular honky-tonk stuff, but they played some good blues in there. And the barbecue was good that they served. So
it seemed like a lot of money back then, $5.
Yeah, it was a lot of money, because they only paid us, let's see, I think I got $25 every payday, twice a month. So $50 a month, that's what it lived on. And a carton of cigarettes then was 25 cents a carton.
Special thanks to Jimmy Michael Truitt and the National Montford Point Marine Association. This episode was recorded on location at the 4 Points by Sheraton, San Diego, California on August 22nd, 2013.